the effects of which has begun to undermine the foundations of stability and peace. Trinidad and Tobago confronts conflicts that seriously threaten our stability and peace. The notion that the Caribbean is a zone of peace has become a false ideal. The reality is stark. No such peace exists today. For too many in our region, peace is not daily life, but an elusive promise, glimpsed and never grasped. In its absence, our citizens pay a terrible toll. In 2024, for example, Trinidad and Tobago, a tiny nation in the Caribbean of 1.4 million persons, we recorded 623 murders in 1 year last year. 41%, 100,000. That's about 40%, and many of them are gang-related. So the reality is being a zone of peace is still an elusive dream that we're pursuing. In the last 25 years, we have had over 10,000 murders, which is equivalent to losing 1% of our adult population. Across Latin America and the Caribbean, homicides range from 20 to more than 60 per 100,000. President Trump's comments on the effects on countries of relentless narco and human trafficking, about organized crime, illegal immigration, are correct. Countries are not only defined by geographical borders, but also by cultural identities, religious beliefs, ethnic compositions, and, of course, legal structures. That is why, through legal immigration, persons are allowed entry because they fulfill the criteria to integrate into the existing population and to add value to their own lives as well as their adopted society at large. However, illegal immigration neglects all checks and balances and will only create long-term disorder, as most illegal immigrants will not be able to assimilate into their adopted societies. That inevitably leads to greater poverty, crime, and cultural antagonism. This, then, is not phobia. It is not hyperbole. It is simply the stark, naked truth. Small countries.
All right, well, that was the Prime Minister, Persad-Bissessar, at the United Nations General Assembly yesterday, addressing world leaders and particularly speaking in regards to immigration, illegal immigration. And then the controversial words in pictures there for us, the controversial words. Yes, sir, go ahead. The controversial words. Scroll down. All right. No zone of peace, Trinidad and Tobago. This, the controversial words from the Prime Minister, Persad-Bissessar. No zone of peace for the Caribbean. And then she also stated we need to fight fire with fire. All right? Fire with fire. And the media calls the words by the Prime Minister, Persad-Bissessar, more so dangerous, I guess, or they said something today on the media. But these are the words by the Prime Minister, Persad-Bissessar, to the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, which I 100% support. 100% support the words by the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Her Excellency, apparently, Persad-Bissessar. So for those that don't know, Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar journeys to the United States for the United Nations General Assembly. And during that visit, Trinidad and Tobago has a lot to look forward to. The Prime Minister, Persad-Bissessar, also reveals some discussions that she would have had with the United States, the UN General Secretary, as well as with a lot of world leaders. In fact, China set to give a grant of $94 million to Trinidad and Tobago. But the Prime Minister, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, gave some good news to the people of this country, a lot that we can look forward to. Let's take a listen.
Just met with Secretary General Guterres. Can you tell us more about the meeting?
Certainly, very, very good meeting. With respect to the various items discussed during the General Assembly of the week, the agenda items, basically many of the speeches were uniform. So climate change issues, national security and safety, food security, financial security, those are the broad areas discussed. And of course the commitment and solidarity to work with the UN as we go forward, to work with the UN agencies. One issue that arose as well is with respect to the non-communicable diseases, NCDs. We are on that agenda as well to work with them. You may or may not know, we applied for a seat on the UN National Security Council. There has been no objection to that. There's been no other nomination. So it means we would have succeeded, and I thank our team, we would have succeeded in securing that seat on the UN Security Council for the 27, 28, period going forward. I think that's a major achievement for us. Some of the good news, last night we signed an MOU with the UAE, and coming out of that is a commitment from the UAE to help us rehabilitate and bring back the COVID Children's Hospital back up to speed. And they have offered to assist us in several infrastructure projects in Trinidad and Tobago. We met with Kuwait yesterday as well with similar development items. So all in all, it's been a great week for us. A great few days. It feels like a week, but a lot of good things have happened.
Agreements and agendas to assist us with respect to infrastructure as well too. And the Prime Minister's position to build up the International Financial Center within Trinidad and Tobago. So it was a fantastic couple of days being in New York, and the Prime Minister has led us as well too with respect to the grant arrangement with China, where the Prime Minister has secured on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago a grant for 94 million TT dollars to be utilized.
What are we going to use that money for?
It's grant funded, so that's really great news for us. Means we do not have to repay, but there's no free lunch. So a part of the agreement would be for us to use it for Chinese labor, supplies, goods and services. I have an idea, but I'll have to discuss it further with my cabinet of what we may be able to use it for, amongst other things. Almost every fire station in Trinidad and Tobago doesn't have a fire tender. So if we could use this money to procure fire tenders, they will be uniform if we use one brand. Uniform in terms of repairs, maintenance and whatever. So that is one area. I've already asked our Minister of Homeland Security to give me a listing of the stations that need a fire tender. One station I know that needs one, home first as they say, is the one in Penal that I had done in my watch, which 10 years later still does not have a fire tender. So that is one idea that we can use it for, and of course we develop other ideas. It's 94 million TT, which is 100 million RMB. So we are very grateful to the government and people of China for that grant.
A lot of good things for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and I think maybe this is why the opposition is upset, because Dr. Kirk Megu, PRO of the United National Congress, he put out this post, Kirk, he put out this post, and he questions why Penelope Beckles was at the UN. And then I saw another post, this one, and it's I don't know, I'm flabbergasted, because I think it was Keith Rowley that put the overlays up that spoke about Kamala is a traitor to Trinidad and Tobago. Go back to Kirk. So Dr. Kirk Megu would have stated, leave the overlays, why is Penny at the UN? She's not authorized to speak on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago government, but she was there, and the media saw her there. Akash is across there. All right, and here she is with the two leaders, Mia Motley and the other one that got his head bust, and the boss head man actually in disagreement with the U.S. and the troops in the U.S. And our Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar is also at the UN, right? She was there, as you are aware of. And Kamala Persad-Bissessar is in full support right now of the United States military actions here in the Caribbean Sea. And we'll get to that because Dr. Rowley is somehow against it. And I heard some comments by the Prime Minister, Keith Christopher Rowley, today, which we will also get to. But a lot of good things for Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago also applied, as you heard the Prime Minister said, a seat on the United Nations Security Council for the year 2027-2028. The UAE agreement signed for Couva Children's Hospital and the development of the Couva Children's Hospital, and then that $94 million grant, which was given by the People's Republic of China to Trinidad and Tobago to be used for the procurement of fire tenders. We saw just a couple of days ago where the fire association, the fire service or the firefighters association would have come out to say that they don't have any gears, no PPE. I'm going to say PPE, I feel like I'm back in COVID, but they barely have anything to fight fires, and they said that citizens' lives are at risk. And today, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, leader of the government, Prime Minister to the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the first set of money she gets as a grant from China, which the country does not have to repay. It's $100 million for China, $94 million for Trinidad, and the $94 million, some of it will be used for the procurement of the fire tenders. So, which Prime Minister working, which one not? Not only that, but I show Sean Sobers, the Minister, the Honorable Sean Sobers, Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs. You can run the pictures of there, look at there, look at there. You see, follow the script. All right. The Honorable Sean Sobers, Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, signs instruments for the establishment of diplomatic relations between Trinidad and Tobago and, oh my God, I can't breathe. It's Tunisia, right? Is it pronounced that? Tunisia, right? So signs diplomatic relations between Trinidad and Tobago and Tunisia, right? A bunch happening in Trinidad and Tobago. All right, so stay tuned. We'll be back right after this, and we're coming to Keith Rowley.
What if we told you that one course could boost your child's performance in every SCA paper? That's why Learn Smart TT has created an online comprehension and poetry course. This is completely self-paced with all tools accessed online. It's 30 passages, 30 poems. They can be downloaded or answered on our site. From there, students get access to answer sheets that have detailed options of how the answers could have been written. No other product on the market has this. In addition, they get access to a video tutorial with an expert teacher walking them through the passage or poems using high visuals and techniques to ensure they derive meaning. Also, we model how we derived each answer so they can do the same. If you want your child to enjoy all of these benefits and propel in comprehension, SCA, and general academic life, click the link above and register for this course and join hundreds of parents and students who are benefiting.
Welcome to SNS Persad Group of Companies, a dynamic community-driven group serving multiple industries with excellence and integrity. At SNS Persad Supermarket, we're committed to community, providing vessel export delivery, custom food services, local delivery, wholesale solutions, fresh produce, in-house bakery, and premium meats. Discover relaxation reimagined at Sunset Beach Resort, with beachfront stays and dining that blends local flavor with ocean views, perfect for families and couples. At Cuts and Curve Fitness Center, where health meets lifestyle, with personal training, meal plans, a full gym, and on-site cafe. The SNS Persad Group of Companies, building value, trust, and community across everything we do.
I am Persad-Bissessar, the only presidential choice for TUTTA election 2025.
It's time to come together, together we are TUTTA.
I'm an educator since 1993. 32 years in this noble profession, from OJT at Valencia to ATP at Kumaka, T1 at Malabar, head of department at Valencia South, principal at Attire, and now SS1 at Northeastern Education District. I've served both TUTTA and Ministry of Education at all these different levels throughout my years. Let's talk accolades. I joined TUTTA shortly after becoming an assistant teacher. I served as a staff representative, as a zonal convener. I served as the district executive of St. George's Education District. I also served as the Conference of Delegates, which is the highest decision-making body in TUTTA. To me, TUTTA and the Ministry of Education go hand in hand. They both work to serve the nation's children to ensure that they receive the best quality education that is available. And TUTTA would have allowed me to develop into the individual that I am today. In addition to that, I would have served as a principal, as the principals at the NAPSPA, the National Primary School Principals Association. I also would have been the president of the Association of Principals of Catholic Schools, the principal involved in Sports Council, actually the chairman of the Sports Council of the St. George's Education District, and many more. All of these leadership roles would have been guided by what I would have learned, the principles and so on, in TUTTA, and all the leadership roles TUTTA would have allowed me to be part of and grow and develop myself. My leadership philosophy is rooted in servant leadership. I believe in leading by example, not position. I also believe in listening before speaking, and I always put persons before myself. If elected, I intend to lead with humility, empathy, and strength, because I have experienced the same things that you have experienced as a teacher, as a principal, and now as a school supervisor. Allow me to represent you as your president, Crystal Bevan-Ash. I present myself to you as the next president of TUTTA. I am you are me, we are TUTTA.
October 14th, it's time for the TUTTA Rebirth.
A lot of persons had problems with what the Prime Minister, Persad-Bissessar, chose to wear. And you know, it's the same story, it's the same pattern that comes out almost every time Persad-Bissessar there. When Keith Rowley put on his nice suit and thing, people complimented him. Watch now, when he come out in the dapper suit for elections, for one of his press conferences, I think it was Emancipation or something, people commend him. But Persad-Bissessar wore this, not the...
It's 30,000 let's start there, but it was beautiful. I worked very hard for my money, and I went...
Come back to me. Go to the pictures, scroll down, and run the picture. Yeah, that one, just run that one. Kamala wore this, all right? So Kamala Persad-Bissessar put on this, and just now, sir, you make him again like Ian. Hold the horses, all right? So the Prime Minister wore this today, not today, but yesterday, to give her UN address. And like the Prime Minister can't step out in style, because persons started to go and pick apart the outfit all right? They pick apart the outfit, and they went and get some pricing, right? And they say, oh God, she spent $30,000 on a suit, and the Prime Minister can't spend $30,000 on a suit. And I'm like, I hear that. And I was like, what, boy? The woman can wear what she wants? Prime Minister can't wear this? So our Prime Minister must go to the UN looking like a ragamuffin. She must go there like how the President come on stage for the awards in some kind of like a bird pick apart her suit or something. That is how the Prime Minister should dress. I don't understand. She's a female dressing with class, elegance, and she somehow single-handedly attacked because the Prime Minister chose to dress nice. Well, this is restart. This is what the Prime Minister said.
It's a new year.
$30,000 start there, but it was beautiful. I work very hard for my money, and I'm entitled to buy the clothing that I like. No government money was used. I work hard for my money. I can spend my money as I see fit. So those are querying the cost. There were many others who were very congratulatory and very much in support. When the Prime Minister goes, they want their Prime Minister to look good. So what I tell you, see good, be good, do good, and look good. Very important. And talk good. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister.
Can I just, last moment? To Trinidad and Tobago, I miss you all very much. I send all my love here from New York City, and the sun is really shining very beautifully here in New York City. But I do miss you all. Be good and take care of yourselves.
Apparently, the Prime Minister was supposed to wear, a $2 shirt, and come out in a $2 shirt at UN. And you know what is even more mischievous is the fact that the media asked that. Like CNC3, Akash Samaru, he would not dare ask Keith Rowley that. He would have never dare. But Kamala Persad-Bissessar, whether she put on a $30,000 suit, $100,000 suit, even if she had spent the tax-paying dollars, I'd had no problem with it. None. You know why I would not have a problem with that $30,000, or even if she had spent $100,000? Marlene McDonald, remember this check? Come quick. Check. Remember this check from Marlene McDonald? $2 million. Remember this? Remember Calabar Foundation now? Remember this with Calabar Foundation? And $375,000 for Calabar Foundation, and we don't know which part the building is. Or we find the building and then the building in pieces. You remember that? This says Calabar Foundation with the dead Marlene McDonald, who said, and I quote, "I'll have my day in court. I'll be vindicated." That's what Marlene McDonald said. Y'all remember the video? Y'all remember? Let me know if y'all remember, because this was Marlene McDonald. This is where Calabar Foundation money went, the $375,000 plus. This is where it went to.
Folks, we're at number 10 Ariapita Road, St. Anne's, the registered address of the Calabar Foundation. We wish to just remind the population of its history. Applications for funding was made by the Calabar Foundation to repair its building on April 27, 2010. Approval was granted on May 10, 2010 by then Minister Marlene McDonald. The check for $375,000, which was the amount requested for the refurbishment, was issued on May 12, 2010. That check was collected on May 12, 2010. The application for the name Calabar Foundation was made on July 14, 2010. The stamp of the Registrar General's office on the Calabar Foundation's Articles of Incorporation is dated August 24, 2010. That check for $300.
This was Marlene McDonald. Look, Calabar Foundation right here, Trinidad and Tobago. That is where Calabar Foundation is. That's Calabar Foundation. Millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. Millions. But we worried about this. This is what we worried about. Quick. No, sir. Oh, the Prime Minister. No. Scroll down. God, you ain't following now. This is what we worried about. We worried about the Prime Minister, Persad-Bissessar, wearing a quote-unquote $30,000 suit. But Marley McDonald could spend $375,000 plus millions of dollars, tax-paying dollars. In fact, this is tax-paying dollars, and Persad-Bissessar said she spent her own money and she could spend her own money how she wants, and she's not spending government money. But you worried about Persad-Bissessar looking good on an international stage. But what Penelope Beckles wear? You see what Penelope wear? Penelope Beckles could come out looking like a African queen, but Kamala must look like what? A canal conch is what the Prime Minister was supposed to look like? A what? A hobo? Well, all the people, watch now. I sure is a black person do that way. I sure about it. I sure is a black person that make that kind of, and CNC3 gone, making such, asking Persad-Bissessar about, you know, the what she wear. Like, oh God, Akash, is that news? And they run that on CNC3 News as though that's newsworthy. It's not newsworthy. The only reason why I'm running it now is because the people make such a big claim about it. The media make a big issue about it. Anyway, Trinidad and Tobago, stay tuned. We are going for a quick break. When we come back, we're going to go to this supposed war between Trinidad, Guyana, Venezuela, and the United States. We'll be back.
What if we told you that one course could boost your child's performance in every SCA paper? That's why Learn Smart TT has created an online comprehension and poetry course. This is completely self-paced with all tools accessed online. It's 30 passages, 30 poems. They can be downloaded or answered on our site. From there, students get access to answer sheets that have detailed options of how the answers could have been written. No other product on the market has this. In addition, they get access to a video tutorial with an expert teacher walking them through the passage of poems using high visuals and techniques to ensure they derive meaning. Also, we model how we derived each answer so they can do the same. If you want your child to enjoy all of these benefits and propel in comprehension, SCA, and general academic life, click the link above and register for this course and join hundreds of parents and students who are benefiting.
Welcome to SNS Persad Group of Companies, a dynamic community-driven group serving multiple industries with excellence and integrity. At SNS Persad Supermarket, we're committed to community, providing vessel export delivery, custom food services, local delivery, wholesale solutions, fresh produce, in-house bakery, and premium meats. Discover relaxation reimagined at Sunset Beach Resort, with beachfront stays and dining that blends local flavor with ocean views, perfect for families and couples. At Cuts and Curve Fitness Center, where health meets lifestyle, with personal training, meal plans, a full gym, and on-site cafe. The SNS Persad Group of Companies, building value, trust, and community across everything we do.
I am Crystal Bevenash, the only presidential choice for TUTTA election 2025.
It's time to come together. we are TUTTA.
I'm an educator since 1993. 32 years in this noble profession, from OJT at Valencia to ATP at Pumaca, T1 at Malabar, head of department at Valencia South, principal at Attire, and now SS1 at Northeastern Education District. I've served both TUTTA and Ministry of Education at all these different levels throughout my years. Let's talk accolades. I joined TUTTA shortly after becoming an assistant teacher. I served as a staff representative, as a zonal convener. I served as the district executive of St. George's Education District. I also served as the Conference of Delegates, which is the highest decision-making body in TUTTA. To me, TUTTA and the Ministry of Education go hand in hand. They both work to serve the nation's children, to ensure that they receive the best quality education that is available. And TUTTA would have allowed me to develop into the individual that I am today. In addition to that, I would have served as a principal, as the principals at the NAPSPA, the National Primary School Principals Association. I also would have been the president of the Association of Principals of Catholic Schools, the principal involved in Sports Council, actually the chairman of the Sports Council of the St. George's Education District, and many more. All of these leadership roles would have been guided by what I would have learned, the principles and so on, in TUTTA, and all the leadership roles TUTTA would have allowed me to be part of and grow and develop myself. My leadership philosophy is rooted in servant leadership. I believe in leading by example, not position. I also believe in listening before speaking, and I always put persons before myself. If elected, I intend to lead with humility, empathy, and strength, because I have experienced the same things that you have experienced as a teacher, as a principal, and now as a school supervisor. Allow me to represent you as your president, Crystal Bevan-Ash. I present myself to you as the next president of TUTTA. I am you are me, we are TUTTA.
October 14th, it's time for the TUTTA Rebirth.
Let me choke myself out. Anyway, welcome back to the Inside Trinidad and Tobago. Listen, I am dying in the studio, number one, because I feel like it's cool, I guess. Anyway, but Prime Minister Mia Mottley said to the UN to stop treating small islands like children. The Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley has called on the United Nations to desist from treating small countries like children and to reform the Security Council to include permanent seats for small islands, developing states, and African nations. My question to Mia Mottley does have a lot to say, and a lot of people like Mia Mottley. A lot. I like her. In fact, 2020, for the G-Summit, the G20 Summit, the speech that Mia Mottley gave versus Keith Rowley had nothing on Mia Mottley. But right now, Trinidad and Tobago, just some light just come off. But anyway, like Mia Mottley, the woman talking. But just take it off, yeah, pull it out. But right now, Trinidad and Tobago, Mia Mottley called for the UN to stop treating small islands like children is 100% ill-founded. 100%. Simply because while Mia Mottley is calling on the UN to stop treating Caribbean nations like children, she's the same one, run this picture, she's the same one that is against the actions by the United States in the Caribbean Sea. She and the bosshead Prime Minister crossing St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They are against the actions of the United States, but asking to be on the Security Council To push what type of agenda, Mia? To always push the road of peace? That's it? Because we hear your story, we hear your side on the quote-unquote genocide taking place in Palestine. We hear it, and you want peace. We recognize the two-nation state, the two-nation state and all of that. But if your agenda for the United Nations on the Security Council is just to recognize peace in the zone, in the Caribbean zone, I could speak to that. Maybe Barbados is not as close to Venezuela as Trinidad and Tobago is, that so much so drugs, guns, ammunitions roll into this country, and all of the illicit activities that go on through Trinidad and Venezuela hamper with us here in this country and our citizenry. And so much so, it is a known fact that Trinidad and Tobago has become, in the recent times and recent years, a hub for drug shipping, and it's a transshipment right here in Trinidad and Tobago that our Prime Minister wants to deal with. CARICOM stated in 2019, Mia Motley, that Trinidad and Tobago have a serious problem, a very serious drug problem, human trafficking problem. The US noted the same in a 2023 report or so. And it is Kamala Persad-Bissessar that seek to address that, not Keith Christopher Rowley. Go to pictures, not Keith Rowley, because Keith Rowley did this. Rowley signed in 2024, just quickly, right? Rowley signed in 2024 with you know, the US right here in Trinidad and Tobago, and coming out today to say, oh, there's some misinformation that he's not spraying troops. You see, come back. I don't wanna lose it. I don't wanna lose it like Candace Owens and them, right? I don't wanna lose it. But when world leaders talking, when not even world leaders, when CARICOM leaders talking like Mia Motley, and they could barely, or anyone could barely find substance in what they're saying, and all we could find is, oh, the speech sound nice, but it's not backed up by any type of action, I call it out. Mia Motley's speech to the United Nations is backed up with little to no action. At least Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister and the leaders in CARICOM, leaders in the Caribbean, such as Trinidad and Tobago, at least we back up our actions and we go to the United Nations and take part and want to be involved on the Security Council. And Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar actually said that we are strengthening ties, so much so that Trinidad and Tobago will sit on the Security Council in 2027, per what Kamala Persad-Bissessar said. And if it is true, actions or words need to be followed up with actions. And what Mia Motley is offering, and it's not a stained attack on Mia Motley, but what Mia Motley is offering is just words, and to say that the UN is treating small nations like children. You are the only person right now, as well as Run Penelope and them, look at them there. These three people here, Mia Motley, Penelope Beckles, I don't know why she was there, and Ralph Gonzalez, they are the only ones that operating like children in this whole regard with Venezuela, talking about we have always been a zone of peace and we need peace, when Venezuela has been the real issue for years and years, plaguing Trinidad and Tobago. So Kamala Persad-Bissessar said that we will fight fire with fire, right? We will fight fire with fire, and you upset. Not me, but the opposition, everybody upset. And then Kamala Persad-Bissessar said that there's no zone of peace. The CARICOM, Caribbean nations, they're not offering that. We have not been a zone of peace, and we are not a zone of peace because of our crime rate, because of the significance in crime in Trinidad and Tobago, and also because you have Venezuela that's threatening Guyana. And we are the ones, we are the CARICOM leaders that are standing in defense of that right here, right there. We are standing in defense of them, and we are standing in defense of ourselves as well. And citizens in Trinidad and Tobago upset? For what? For what? What we upset about? We upset that Kamala Persad-Bissessar says that military, the U.S. military, can use Trinidad and Tobago territory in defense of Guyana if Venezuela invades. And that's what the Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar said. But you have Keith Rowley that somehow think he was the man of the hour and is the man of the hour saying this nonsense. Go to videos. Play Rowley. This is the leadership we want. In fact, before we go there, play this one. This is the leadership we want. This is how we want our Prime Minister to operate. This is how we want to maintain the peace. By Keith Christopher Rowley dancing with Venezuelan narco-terrorist Nicolas Maduro. That is the peace that we want. Right? Listen to the king. Listen to the king of Trinidad and Tobago speak to us.
To tell Venezuela that we have entered into an arrangement, to tell Guyana and to tell CARICOM that this picture is representative of an action that we've taken with the head of Southcom, Admiral Halsey, and it's about us creating an environment where the United States can place troops in Trinidad and Tobago to respond to instability in Venezuela. Whoever did this is not acting in the interests of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And let me tell you why. I am so disturbed about this. Trinidad and Tobago, as a leader in CARICOM on that matter, took a leadership role to preserve the Caribbean as a zone of peace. And we headed to New York. The Prime Minister of Barbados and myself, we went to the office of the Secretary General of the United Nations to take a different position on the Venezuelan issue. We didn't stop there. We, again, Trinidad and Tobago, and this time the larger CARICOM, we went to Uruguay and took part in generating the Montevideo Accord, which was meant to prevent any instance of the breach of the peace in the Caribbean. What has changed to cause Trinidad and Tobago to be a platform for foreign troops on its territory in response to a Venezuelan situation? When in fact, only days ago, the Trinidad and Tobago minister in the office of the Prime Minister was in Caracas, talking to the Venezuelan leadership, as we talk to them all the time, and the Americans and others, because I was in Barbados talking to the American leadership. And CARICOM, as a unit, we cover and protect ourselves by standing on the defense of CARICOM. Caribbean is a zone of peace, and we are not supporting anybody's military excursion.
You see, I think the audio boy. Love it. I think that persons seem not to understand the facts on the matter. The fact is, Kamala Persad-Bissessar is not interested in what is going on in Venezuela. She's not. The government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago is not interested in the affairs of Venezuela. The only thing Kamala Persad-Bissessar, leader of government business and Prime Minister to the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, is interested in is safeguarding the lives and livelihoods of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. That is it. So this press conference, or whatever this was with King Rowley, whatever this was, it is hogwash, it is ill-founded, and it is nonsensical. And it is a way for the PNM to spread even more propaganda about what is taking place between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela and mainly the United States. What Kamala Persad-Bissessar stated is that if Venezuela chooses to invade, keyword there, King Rowley is if you need to go back to school. if they choose to invade, we in Trinidad and Tobago have no issues with saying to the United States Armed Forces, come use our territory to assist Guyana. That's it. That's number one. Number two, the only reason why Kamala Persad-Bissessar supports military action in the Caribbean Sea, right? You see the fight fire with fire, and then you see the no zone or no zone of peace. The reason why Kamala Persad-Bissessar supports that Trinidad and Tobago and says that is simply because for years Trinidad and Tobago has been known to be not only a drug-pushing nation, not only rebooted ISIS, some parts of ISIS here in Trinidad and Tobago, but also simply because of crime and criminality within Trinidad and Tobago. And one of the ways Kamala Persad-Bissessar seeks to reduce crime is by firstly reducing the amount of terrorism, I'll call it, that takes place between the people of Trinidad and Venezuela, because we have a lot of human trafficking. Reports that your government, Keith Rowley, run him. Reports that your government, Keith Rowley, disregard. A 2019 CARICOM report, disregarded. 2019 CARICOM report, disregarded by your government, and I have the proof for it, find it, right? Disregarded. Not only that, but a 2023 report by the United States, disregarded on human trafficking. CARICOM reports, multiple of them, disregarded by your government. A Vice News report, disregarded by your government. A CNC3 report 6 years ago during COVID, roughly around there. Well, COVID was 6 years. But anyway, disregarded by your government, Keith Rowley. But you think you could come now to tell us, the government, the UNC, about Venezuela and about something that you supposedly doing? Are you crazy? Remember this? Thank you, my good friend. You're wicked. Remember this? Keith Rowley. King Rowley. You remember this, King Rowley? For those that don't remember this, let me read it. A 2019 CARICOM report also raised major human trafficking issues. Experts suggest Trinidad and Tobago government, Keith Rowley's administration, showed no interest. Keith Rowley, why you show no interest in the CARICOM report, yet you and Penelope and all of the PNM could come and tell us that peace, zone of peace, and we should listen to CARICOM. And did we consult our CARICOM brothers and sisters? When CARICOM consulted Trinidad and Tobago for years, you disregarded it. Keith, your government disregarded it. Renowned migration and human trafficking expert Dr. Justin Pierre, who led a team conducting a CARICOM human trafficking research project in 2019, says, quote, nobody from the Trinidad and Tobago government contacted his team to discuss the human trafficking findings after it was released. The report listed places where human trafficking occurred, the number of persons involved in the trade, and the known human trafficking routes in massive human trafficking ring right here in Trinidad and Tobago. When Gary Griffith wanted to polygraph police officers on the southwestern peninsula, the Police Service Commission kicked against that under your administration, and you did nothing. But now Kamala Persad-Bissessar says, quote, run it again, no zone of peace. And she says, quote, fight fire with fire. The PNM think that they could come and talk. Interesting. Stay tuned, Trinidad and Tobago. We'll be back right after this.
What if we told you that one course could boost your child's performance in every SCA paper? That's why Learn Smart TT has created an online comprehension and poetry course. This is completely self-paced with all tools accessed online. It's 30 passages, 30 poems. They can be downloaded or answered on our site. From there, students get access to answer sheets that have detailed options of how the answers could have been written. No other product on the market has this. In addition, they get access to a video tutorial with an expert teacher walking them through the passage of poems using high visuals and techniques to ensure they derive meaning. Also, we model how we derived each answer so they can do the same. If you want your child to enjoy all of these benefits and propel in comprehension, SCA, and general academic life, click the link above and register for this course and join hundreds of parents and students who are benefiting.
Welcome to SNS Persad Group of Companies, a dynamic community-driven group serving multiple industries with excellence and integrity. At SNS Persad Supermarket, we're committed to community, providing vessel export delivery, custom food services, local delivery, wholesale solutions, fresh produce, in-house bakery, and premium meats. Discover relaxation reimagined at Sunset Beach Resort, with beachfront stays and dining that blends local flavor with ocean views, perfect for families and couples. At Cuts and Curve Fitness Center, where health meets lifestyle, with personal training, meal plans, a full gym, and on-site cafe. The SNS Persad Group of Companies, building value, trust, and community across everything we do.
I am Crystal Bevenash, the only presidential choice for TUTTA election 2025.
It's time to come together, together we are TUTTA.
I'm an educator since 1993. 32 years in this noble profession, from OJT at Valencia to ATP at Kumaka, T1 at Malabar, head of department at Valencia South, principal at Attire, and now SS1 at Northeastern Education District. I've served both TUTTA and Ministry of Education at all these different levels throughout my years. Let's talk accolades. I joined TUTTA shortly after becoming an assistant teacher. I served as a staff representative, as a zonal convener. I served as the district executive of St. George's Education District. I also served as the Conference of Delegates, which is the highest decision-making body in TUTTA. To me, TUTTA and the Ministry of Education go hand in hand. They both work to serve the nation's children to ensure that they receive the best quality education that is available. And TUTTA would have allowed me to develop into the individual that I am today. In addition to that, I would have served as a principal, as the principals at the NAPSPA, the National Primary School Principals Association. I also would have been the president of the Association of Principals of Catholic Schools, the principal involved in Sports Council, actually the chairman of the Sports Council of the St. George's Education District, and many more. All of these leadership roles would have been guided by what I would have learned, the principles and so on, in TUTTA, and all the leadership roles TUTTA would have allowed me to be part of and grow and develop myself. My leadership philosophy is rooted in servant leadership. I believe in leading by example, not position. I also believe in listening before speaking, and I always put persons before myself. If elected, I intend to lead with humility, empathy, and strength, because I have experienced the same things that you have experienced as a teacher, as a principal, and now as a school supervisor. Allow me to represent you as your president, Crystal Bevenash. I present myself to you as the next president of TUTTA. I am you are me, we are TUTTA.
October 14th, it's time for the TUTTA Rebirth.
Trinidad is seeing this kind of migrant phenomenon. All I see is a mass of desperate humanity needing help.
We don't have housing in Trinidad. We don't have proper housing. You just bring them from one disaster into another disaster.
Es como que una tabla de salvación en el medio del océano. Mira, tenemos que irnos. Vamos a agarrarnos de esta tabla. Y vamos a ver hasta dónde esta tabla nos lleva. Ahorita vamos agarrados a la tabla. Mi familia y yo.
Forced human displacement is higher than it's ever been in modern history. And so we're going to the places and meeting the faces to find out how it's changing our world. These are the people trying to find a home. This is the displaced.
Another violent protest in Caracas.
Venezuela's neighboring South American countries are struggling to keep up with the massive flow of these refugees.
The level of political violence is causing increasing concern in the region.
Trinidad, a small Caribbean island with just over 1 million people. Recently, though, there's been a rapid increase of thousands of Venezuelans fleeing here as a result of political and economic crisis back home.
Trinidad is only 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela, making it one of the easiest places for people to reach. But despite the small distance, Venezuelans face big challenges when they arrive.
Este es un video de la apertura del año judicial en Venezuela. En Caracas, Tribunal Supremo de Justicia.
Tell me what life was like in Venezuela for you and your family.
Que para tú poder comer tienes que romper tu cama, utilizar la madera para cocinar, porque no hay gas. Mi hijo se enfermó y en la clínica no había medicina. Y lo que el médico resolvió fue que yo fuera a la veterinaria a comprar un remedio para perros y con ese remedio sanar a mi hijo.
Venezuela used to be South America's richest country, having the largest oil reserves in the world.
Where slow-moving ox carts once plodded, 8-lane highways speed traffic through Venezuela's new metropolis, Avenida Bolivar.
But in the last 20 years, a combination of huge government spending, crashing oil prices and allegations of corruption sent the economy spiraling. 94% of Venezuelans currently live in poverty. And President Nicolas Maduro has garnered many critics across the globe, condemning what they say is authoritarian leadership.
¿Cómo le dice? You need help. Los jueces, Poder Judicial, el Consejo Nacional Electoral, gobernadores, que todo juega a favor de ellos. Si hay uno que no juega a favor de ellos, te pueden matar, te pueden asesinar. Yo prefiero salir, trabajar de lo que sea, de buena manera, para mantener a mi familia.
Manuel fled to Trinidad last summer. Since then, he's worked as a fisherman, a carpenter, and now he's a security guard in a shopping centre.
It sounds like to some level you have been stripped of your identity. How do you feel about the new identity that you have here in Trinidad?
Primero, un temor indescriptible. Porque tú como cabeza de familia, como hombre, lanzarte al vacío. Pero no eres el primero, ni eres el único. Entonces yo aposté a eso. Pero Trinidad ha sido muy duro con los emigrantes. Acudes a la ONU y pides el refugio, el asilo, en primer lugar. Y el gobierno no respeta.
4 million Venezuelans have fled their country, which is about 10% of its population. Of that, it's estimated over 40,000 came to Trinidad, meaning proportionally, this small island's taken in more people than almost any other country.
If you look into the horizon, you can see a black line. Well, that is Venezuela. Now you can see why so many thousands of Venezuelans are coming here to Trinidad. The islands are so close.
This has sparked resentment. Some locals in Trinidad and Tobago argue the people coming over are just economic migrants, not refugees.
Venezuelan problem is for Venezuelans. This little island cannot be the solution to millions or hundreds of thousands of migrants leaving Venezuela.
Trinidad and Tobago don't have any legislation protecting refugees or asylum seekers, so until recently, those fleeing Venezuela have been denied any rights to live and work. In an attempt to manage the crisis, the government created a registration period. For 2 weeks in June, any Venezuelan, legal or illegal, could register to live and work. It's done little to appease local critics, however, who remain anxious about the lack of jobs.
These Venezuelans are being sold false dreams and promises. We are not against the migrants. How could this country, how could this government give amnesty and leave the borders open? The borders supposed to be blocked. We grieving for our land, and we're being robbed by these people. Why would I have sympathy for somebody that is coming to rob me?
With one of the highest murder rates in the world, crime and gangs are also huge issues in Trinidad. There are concerns that illegal migration is fueling criminals and traffickers. And with an election coming up in 2020, the government's message is clear.
The fact of the matter is, if you enter this country illegally, if you have overstayed your time, you have broken the law. There's no degree of flexibility in that. The state has given them an amnesty, a window of opportunity for them. Let no one be fooled into believing that they have authority to do whatever they want, whenever they please. If at any time they do anything, even if registered, that we be deemed that they are a threat to national security, we would have them deported.
Well, that aged well, right? I think that video aged well because Gary, watch this.
The murderous and notorious Venezuelan gang known as Evande has infiltrated the borders of Trinidad and Tobago. Intelligence sources say these findings are contained in several recently completed secret reports prepared by various arms of the local law enforcement authorities with the upsurge in crimes involving Venezuelan nationals in the country. Guardian media saw these reports, which highlighted the worrying trend of the Venezuelan gang Evande, which they say has several hundred of its members illegally in this country.
Okay. All right. I thought so. So when you have Mia Motley, and then I saw this just now. Come, go back. I saw this just now. Yeah, go ahead. Listen, Ralph, you got you, boy. You got you. Must see it again. How you get voted in again? I don't. Anyway, not my country. But when they want to talk and they want to tell you that they support Venezuela and they support this and they support that, be careful, because these are the same people that has been dancing with the narco terrorists. They are the same people that go dancing with them, and then they are the same people that go hugging them up. They just didn't find Mia Motley yet, and maybe they're benefiting. I don't know. But I am cautious with these people. And at least Kamla Persad-Bissessar is not only real in what she say, but in Kamla Persad-Bissessar standing in defense of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, she have the guts to go on the world stage, and she have the guts to tell the Caribbean that there has been no zone of peace. None. And also that Trinidad and Tobago will fight fire with fire to protect the people of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. I take that as a notion that Kamla Persad-Bissessar listened to the Vice News report. Kamla Persad-Bissessar listened to CARICOM report. Kamla Persad-Bissessar took note of the 2023 human trafficking report sent by the United States. And Kamla Persad-Bissessar is not only Kamla Persad-Bissessar, but she's Kamla Persad-Bissessar 2.0. This is Kamla Persad-Bissessar 2.0, because the previous Kamla Persad-Bissessar, the 2010 to 2015 Kamla Persad-Bissessar, wasn't saying these things. She wasn't as bold as she is right now, and I love the boldness. I love this firm stance for country. I love that she goes to CARICOM and tell CARICOM that you have been lying to the people. There has been no zone of peace. No zone of peace. And that Trinidad and Tobago and the CARICOM should be fighting fire with fire to deal with illegal immigration and to deal with guns and trafficking and ammunition and human trafficking and all of that. Because if you want to sit on the Security Council, Mia Motley, you must have the balls to tell these people to their faces that you have been lying. But, I'm dying again. But, if it is that you don't have the balls to stand up in defense of people, and you just had the courage to go on a world stage and preach your good talk and talk about climate change and talk about how the ozone layer this and ozone layer that, the normal conversation that any activist could talk about, what we don't have, and you know what, this is real. What we lacked were persons that would go to world stages, just like, okay, if I say that, they might kill me. But just like, anyway, that's another show. Let me wrap up. Go on. Some people tell me how to be careful what you say sometimes. So I'll be cautious not to say it this time around. And I'll leave it in the court of public opinion to decide on what I was about to say there. But basically, to sum this show up, I support Kamala Persad-Bissessar. I support Kamala Persad-Bissessar on her stance that, you can run that, yeah, on her stance that there has been no zone of peace in the Caribbean. I support Kamala Persad-Bissessar when she says we need to fight fire with fire. I support Kamala Persad-Bissessar in her, and yeah, she changed a little bit with, she talked about the legal stance when she said, you know, she want to take action, but legal action. Regardless of, I support her stance on Venezuela, with the United States, and mainly with this here, when she says that the United States, if at all Venezuela attacks Guyana, then we stand ready to assist, and the United States stand ready to assist through entering Trinidad and Tobago's territory. I agree. You could disagree if you want to, but it's time to deal with the problems head on and not pussyfoot around the problems. All right? So Trinidad and Tobago, that concludes the show for tonight. Thank you so much for viewing again, all that are on YouTube, Facebook, as well as TikTok. I will see you back here on Monday for another week in review with your host, David K. Welch. Thank you so much again, and do enjoy the rest of your night. Have a great night.